Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. As some of you who have been with my channel for quite a while may have noticed, I've changed the name of my channel from my real name to my pseudonym Captain Awesomeness. The reason why I've done that is basically to have a uniform theme across the board with how I identify myself on the track and then how I'm identifying myself on basically the internets. So that's really the reason why I've done that. I'm doing something a little bit different in this video compared to the ones that you've seen before. In the previous videos, all you've seen is me sitting in a car, navigating through the track and trying to get as quick of a lap time as possible. What I'm going to do differently today is basically have you go over a lap that I've done, first in slow motion, where I'll be illustrating to you exactly what I'm doing and what I'm thinking as I navigate through the track. And then you get to see that same video again in full motion without any commentary. Maybe hopefully this will help you kind of recognize what you may be doing differently or what challenges you've had in certain section of the track so that you can also get a shorter lap time. Now I know that those of you who have never been there yet and would like to go sometimes feel intimidated, but I'm telling you, this is a great track to be on. It's very safe. The staff over there is pretty professional. The management runs it quite well, and there's a great camaraderie of fellow racers that are out there. And the reason why I'm actually sharing this with you is because to me, being on a track is not just about, going in there, getting that fastest lap in there and trying to be in the top 10, which I've been consistently now for 2 months. But at the same time, I like to have a healthy competition. So if I see somebody who's struggling with their lap times and can't figure out why they're stuck in a certain time zone and they can't get a shorter lap time, I'm more than happy to help them out. As a matter of fact, I've done sessions with different people who've seen these videos and have participated in sessions with me, and they've been able to identify what they've been doing, not wrong, but differently, and what they can do to adapt to a different way of being able to catch up to us who are in the top 10 range. So before I go into the actual video itself, I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the factors that, in my opinion, affect lap times. So if you want to get faster lap times, there are 4 particular general conditions that may affect how fast or slow, for that matter, you end up going around the track. First and foremost is going to be temperature. The hotter it is, the slower you're going to be. The cooler it is, the faster you're going to be, but up to a point for both conditions. So if it's really cold, you're not going to be able to get the tires warm enough to stick to the track in certain particular points where you need to go fast around certain turns. And if it's too hot, you're not going to be able to break a little bit of the traction that you may need to, especially around the hairpins. So that's a real key factor in how fast or slow, for that matter, you're going to be on the track. So for this reason, I in particular try to race at night. Most of my videos over the last several sessions, as you may have noticed, are recorded at night. During the day, it's just too hot for this area. Lahore in the summertime becomes a little too hot during the day to be able to get any kind of respectable lap times. So it's better for you to come at night and race. So I try to show up there around 11 p.m. and stay there till their closing time, which usually ranges till about 2 a.m. The second factor is cart condition. Like any other track out there that has rental carts, you're going to be running into a situation of cars that are in a diversity of conditions. Either the engine's pretty aged or it's really new. The tires are worn out on it. The suspension components may not be all in uniform condition, so alignment is a big deal there. So that changes the way in which the cart behaves. What I do is I look at what the fastest lap of the day so far has been, and then off of that come up with certain conclusions as to what cart I should try to use in order to get the fastest lap time possible. That's not always the case that if I see the fastest lap time, I'm going to get the fastest cart. But unfortunately, again, with any other rental car place, it's a bit of a hit and miss. But I try out at least 3 sessions for a reason so that I can figure out what cart to take and then try to get that lap time in there. The third thing is going to be skill. Some of us have the natural ability to figure things out really quickly, and some of us take some time. So I am kind of like in the middle. Like I like to do things on myself, and then from my errors or from watching other people drive, I then start to improve. But there has to be a little bit of a natural talent in a person to be able to recognize exactly what changes you may want to bring into your driving style or into certain corners, how you're going to get that nose to turn so that you can actually get faster. This isn't exactly rocket science, but it does require a little bit of understanding exactly as to what you're doing. Then the last thing is seat time. Really, the more time you put into anything, the more skillful you become. So I, for example, am at 170 sessions so far, which is the second highest amount of track time that's been done at this particular track. And then I'm going to go into what you should not be doing when you come to the track. And real quickly, what I want to say about that is that, remember, this is a place where you try to have fun and you try to do it in a safe manner. So take your egos back to your car or wherever you want to park it. Just leave it there and come into the track knowing that you need to be safe, but at the same time enjoy what you're doing there. There are always going to be people with different skill sets on the track, and you have to accommodate for that. And as you'll see in this video recording that I've done, I ran into exactly just that, but I try to adjust as and when time goes by. So first thing I'll say is that this layout is pretty important for you to see. What it shows you is what the track looks like from an aerial view. It's a pretty long track, about a mile long, so it takes some time for you to come around full circle. The fastest lap's been 1 minute and 8 seconds, 0.625, and I have been able to pull the fastest was 1 minute 10 seconds, 0.642 or something of that sort. So it's a pretty interesting track. It's a pretty technical track, and the one factor that really also affects the lap times on this particular track is the track condition itself. It can get dusty during certain times of the year, as in when things go along. So in the summer right now with no rain, it's a little bit dusty there, so that affects traction. So here we go. Now, before I go into the slow motion video, I'm going to again talk through each particular section, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and hopefully that'll help you along with what I am trying to do. Now, before I continue on in this video, I want you to notice something here. For those of you who've been at the track, you'll realize that the starting line actually begins somewhere on the straightaway. I actually have this video starting from before I come into the starting line. The reason why I've done that is because I want you to recognize a couple things here. When you first get on the cart and leave the pit lane, that first rotation does not actually count. When it starts to count is when you first cross that starting line. So when you're leaving the pit lane, you actually don't go over that starting line until you come full circle. But what's important is how you actually navigate in this particular zone in order for you to cross that starting line as fast as you can. The reason being, the faster you are, the faster you'll be able to come around the track. So it's really important how you position that cart, how you're handling it, so that you can get to that point. So again, I'm coming around the end of the long sweeping turn here, where now I'm going from all the way right on where the strips are to all the way left in order to enter the chicane. I'm coming in here full out. I'm not hitting the brakes at all. My foot's just straight buried on the gas pedal. I come in and I try to get the nose to where my wheels will go right over the apex of the first turn of the chicane. From here, I try to take a straight line right into the left turn, which is also the exit of the chicane. And you'll see I'm putting in a little bit of an input here just to make sure that I can get the wheel right over that curb there. And at this point, I'm going to straighten out the car and go straight out into the right side of the track. The aim here is to try to get to the curb again, and once I'm here, I drive straight and then start to do a very shallow turn. And the idea behind this is to try to get to turn 1 at the appropriate angle and cut the distance between this particular point and that first turn. So here comes the starting line. Now that time begins. I'm putting my thumb up actually to my spotter, Swagger. He actually let me know that everything's good to go, so I let him know the same thing. And with my hand coming down. Now I'm going to go into turn 1. This is all flat out again. I'm at this point pointing the cart's left wheel right on to the curb, and I'll pass right through to the end of where the pit lane is to my left. And once I get past that point, I look for the deep turn of the turn 2, and this is where I will turn left. I'm still flat out here. Very rarely do I get off the gas, and if I do, it's for a microsecond. It's on off, that's it. And it's just to get the nose to hit the apex of turn 2. So I'm driving through here. What you'll also notice throughout is my steering input is as small as possible. This section is a wavy road, so it does bounce around a little bit, but I try to accommodate. I come in through the apex and go all the way to the outside of the second straightaway. That then takes me over to turn 3. Nothing different here other than me just trying to make sure that I'm in a stable path. I keep it all the way out past the yellow line on the left. And you'll notice there's no visual marker, so what I am doing for the most part is trying to tell myself where I am and what I can try to do. And the aim at this point, as the previous straightaway, is to go as fast as possible. So I think I top out here at 40 miles an hour in this particular spot. And I'm noticing that there is a slow driver at this point, but I see that the trajectory they're taking is not going to be an issue. So I initiate the turn as soon as I feel like I'm going to be able to turn. I let off the gas, get the turn in. If I see that the nose is in the right spot, I get back on the gas, full throttle, and I shoot over a straight line through this particular turn 3 to come up to turn 4. I'll straighten out the steering wheel at this point right here. I'm just trying to make sure that my left wheel, as soon as it's straightened out, comes right over the curb. I'll touch the curb and fling myself out all the way to the right in preparation for the double hairpin that is coming up. Full flat out here still. I'm trying to get the nose of the cart to point to the outside and then line myself up all the way to the right as much as possible. Here I'm looking for my visual cue, which are these tires that are sitting on the right side. As soon as I get past them, I will then get my nose to point to the apex. I've let off the throttle at this point. I'm not using any brakes at all. And this is also a kind of a momentary thing. As soon as I feel that the turn's been perfect to where I am going to be going over the apex, the gas is back on, usually less than a half a second. I get past this apex and I go all the way to the outside of this hairpin to try to accelerate and gain back that speed that I've lost trying to go through this turn. This is all flat out at this point again. I will take the cart all the way back out to the left in the preparation for the second hairpin. Here my foot is still on the gas pedal, and what I'm trying to do as I come up here is turn to where I'm forming a T, and as you can see I'm trying to make that T around the apex of that second hairpin. My foot is all the way down on the gas pedal, no brakes at all, and now I've gotten to the pass point to where I'm coming up at the mid-late apex of the second hairpin, and I'm taking the cart all the way out. Again, this is to the left of the track at this point, and it is to try to gain as much speed as possible. Once I'm kind of feeling comfortable with where the nose is pointing, I will slowly bring it back in preparation for what's called the dirt turn, or mitti chalk as people call it here in Lahore. As I'm coming up, I will get my cart to ride over the curb, which is coming up, and stay at this particular side of the track all the way up until it ends. And when I begin to see that I'm kind of coming on a 90-degree angle to the dirt turn. So here I just get past the curb. I'm seeing where I can see the perpendicular point of that curb. I'll let off the gas. I'll turn in. When I feel like the nose is to the point where I'll hit the apex, I get back on the gas. This will cause a drifting effect, but that's what you kind of need, a little bit of drift, so that you can appropriately turn around that dirt turn and then end up in the curb of the right side of the track that then takes you into what's called the double left. Here I'll try to keep that right tire right over this curb and keep that turn. Sometimes it can be a struggle, and I think in this video you'll see I come out a little bit and then try to come back in to adjust, and it looks like I do at some point. Yep, the nose tells me where I'm going to be, and I'll try to ride this curb all the way to the end. As soon as I reach the end, that's my exit point to try to come up to the first turn of the double left, as they call it at this track. Again, I'm trying to cut meters off here, or distance off of here. So that's the real key reason why I'm doing this. So now that I'm seeing that the curb is coming up for that first left, this is where I will try to get the tire to go almost over this curb and go a little bit to the outside as soon as I exit that first turn to come into the second turn. I let off the gas at this point and give a little bit more steering input where I feel that the cart is about to drift a little bit, and at this point I come right back onto the gas to help me accelerate through this turn, but to the point where I keep myself all the way to the left as much as possible. Here I wasn't able to do that perfectly, but it still is sufficient for me to come across and make that turn I need to make into the long sweeper right, and I'll suddenly make that turn now. And here I'm going flat out. I'm trying to get my cart to kiss that apex as much as possible, but here, because of me coming in a little too hot, I wasn't able to go right over the curb, which is fine. The thing is, you want to make sure you don't go all the way out to the left, because this turn is an incline. So you want to try and stay on the lower end of it so that you do not lose all that speed because of scrubbing that top end of the track. So that's why you'll see I'm trying to get it to turn left as much as right as much as possible. Here I'll coming up to the end of that double left that's leading me right into the chicane, and yeah, that's it. I'm flat out here. I'm looking for the curb that will start at some point here, and that is my signifier for me to then let the cart naturally go all the way to the left of this track. Right now I'm kind of giving it steering input to stay all the way to the right, since it's a curving turn. And as soon as I see the strips coming up, this is where I let off the input. I just go straight, and it takes me all the way to the left of the track. And I want to do this as quick as possible so that I can drive straight. I'm noticing at this point there's another driver who is about to enter the chicane, so this may or may not affect the way I enter, but I'm watching what they're doing. So I feel comfortable knowing that they're not going to be in my way, so I enter flat out into the chicane, just as you saw before, trying to use a right wheel to kiss the curb over on the entry point of the chicane. Try to keep it stable as much as I can, keep that straight line, and as soon as I see the curb, the midpoint really of this left curb, I'll use the tire to kiss it and then shoot right out again to the straightaway. So that's really how I do my races, and I stay all the way out, as you can see. There's nothing to mention other than, you know, be particular, be safe about what you're doing here. So that's really it. I don't know if there's anything I forgot here, but if I do, I'll let you know for sure. Now we'll move into transiting to the lap, how it's done in real time. And I won't really say much once that begins. There's going to be a slide, and then you'll see what happens. All right, so here you are. Alright guys, that does it for this video.